I'm here inside Lucy Tower, the gravesite of some of Lincoln's most notorious criminals, one of which is Priscilla Biggerdyke, the woman who murdered her husband in the year 1868. Or did she? Priscilla Wiley was born in 1833 in the small village of Gedney in Lincolnshire. Some years later, in 1855, she married Richard and took the name Biggerdyke. The two were happy for some time, having 3 children, including a newborn. They also had 2 lodgers, 30-year-old labourer Thomas Proctor and 21-year-old fisherman George Ironmonger. All of them lived together in a 2-room cottage, with 4 adults sharing 2 beds. But as is evident by the murder of Richard, this happiness did not last. In 1868, husband Richard suspected Priscilla of having an affair with Proctor, and that their baby was fathered by him. On the afternoon of Wednesday the 30th of September, Priscilla brewed some tea for Richard and put milk into his cup. A few minutes after he consumed the tea, he became violently ill, and the symptoms had suggested poisoning. A doctor was sent for, but Richard sadly died the next morning at around 6 a.m. Priscilla tried to blame Proctor for administering white powder to Richard's tea. She told police that she had seen him put the powder into Richard's tea and put a second dose into some medicine he was taking for back pain. On Monday the 19th of October, both prisoners were brought here before the magistrates and remanded in custody. The adjourned inquest was held on Friday the 23rd of October at the Rose and Crown Inn before the coroner, Walter Clegg, at about 11 a.m. Priscilla stood trial alone in early December. The proceedings lasted 7 hours. Proctor testified that he had not put the poison in Richard's tea or medicine. The jury, however, found Priscilla guilty of willful murder, but with a recommendation to mercy. It is in one of the cells here, in the women's prison ward at the Lincoln Castle Jail, where Priscilla was held. And just inside, through this door, a representation of the cell that she would have stayed in whilst awaiting her execution. The execution was set for 9 a.m. on Monday the 28th of December. The gallows had been erected here, some 200 yards from the main prison, to the east of the Assize Court. Supported by 2 warders, Priscilla approached the gallows. She took little notice of the chaplain, who was reading the service for the dying. She said to the warders, "I hope my troubles are ended." She then asked, "Shall we be much longer?" To which a warder replied, "No, not much." When finally hanged, she struggled for around 3 minutes before passing away, due to a misplacement of the knot around her neck, making the hanging much more violent than it needed to be. Priscilla was named the first woman in the UK to be privately executed following the abolishment of public executions in 1868. She was buried in Lucy Tower, her grave marked with her initials, P.B. With such a disturbing hanging, I'd like to say that this was the end, but unfortunately not. In 1882, on his deathbed, Thomas Proctor admitted that they had indeed put the white powder in Richard's teacup and medicine. So the question arises, was Priscilla innocent after all? Did the two of them work together? Who really poisoned Richard Biggerdyke? These questions may never be answered, but one thing is for certain. Thomas Proctor had gotten away with murder. In the next episode of Castles and Convicts, we discuss the story of wife killer William Frederick Corrie and the innovative design of the long drop method that changed history.